Namaskar, my name is Karuna Venkatesh and you're watching Constitution of India Decoded at Tarkwad. In our last video, we defined the map of India by exploring part 1 of the Constitution. We established the where, the territory. But a nation is not just land, it is its people. So the very next question the Constitution addresses is who are the people who belong to this land? Who are the members of this political community? The answer lies in part 2, citizenship. This part comprises Article 5 to 11, is the constitutional bridge that transformed millions of subjects of the British Crown into citizens of the newly born Republic of India. But first, why does this legal distinction matter? Citizenship is quite simply the right to have rights. It is a full and formal membership. While any person in India enjoys certain basic human rights, only a citizen possesses the exclusive right to vote, the right to hold high constitutional offices like the president, the prime minister, or a judge of the Supreme Court, and other fundamental political rights. It is the bedrock of your identity in the democratic framework. Now, the Constitution in 1950 faced an enormous challenge the catastrophic human displacement of partition. It could not lay down a single permanent rule for all time. So, Article 5 to Article 8 provided a one time solution to grant citizenship at the commencement of the Constitution. Article 5 was the primary provision. It granted citizenship to anyone who had a domicile in Indian territory and met either of two conditions. They were born in India or either of their parents were born in India. Domicile means you live here with the intention to make it your permanent home. Then, the Constitution addressed the complex realities of partition by surgical precision. Article 6 dealt with people who migrated from Pakistan to India. If they migrated before July 1948, they were deemed citizens. Those who came after that date needed to register as citizens. Article 7 was perhaps the most complex. It addressed those who had migrated to Pakistan but later returned to India. The general rule was that such a person would lose their right to Indian citizenship. However, there was a critical exception. If they returned to India with a permit for resettlement or permanent return, they could be registered as a citizen. This created the unique category of returned migrants. And Article 8 provided for Indians living outside India. Any person of Indian origin residing abroad could register as a citizen with an Indian diplomatic mission if they or their parents or grandparents were born in undivided India. But the framers were wise. They knew these initial provisions were not enough for the future. This is where Article 11 becomes profoundly important. It states that Parliament has the ultimate power to regulate the right of citizenship by law. This means Parliament can make any law regarding who is or can become a citizen, and that law can even override the provisions we just discussed in Article 5 and 10. This power led to the enactment of the Citizenship Act 1955, which is primary law governing Indian citizenship today. It outlines the 5 main methods of acquiring citizenship: by birth, by descent, by registration, by naturalization, and by incorporation of territory. This act has been amended several times, most recently and controversially by the Citizenship Amendment Act of 2019. The CAA introduces a religion-based criteria for granting citizenship to persecuted minorities from neighboring countries. This amendment has sparked an intense national debate, directly testing the limits of Parliament's power under Article 11 and its relationship with the secular principle in our preamble. It shows that citizenship is not a static concept, but a living, evolving, and deeply contested part of our polity. One of India's most distinctive features established through this framework is the concept of single citizenship. Unlike in the United States, where you are a citizen of both the nation and your state, in India, we are solely citizens of India. There is no state-specific citizenship. This was a conscious design to foster a strong sense of national unity and integrity, overriding regional divides. So to conclude, Part 2 of the Constitution performed the historic task. It provided the legal mechanism to transform a diverse population into a single citizenry for the new republic. But it also wisely entrusted the future of this membership to Parliament, making citizenship a dynamic and crucial element of our national conversation. Now that we have firmly established both the where and the who of India, its territory and its people, we are ready for the heart of the Constitution. In our next video, we step into the majestic chamber of fundamental rights, the rights that protect every individual from the power of the state. If this journey into the constitution of our membership is enlightening you, please support us by liking this video, subscribing to Tarkwad, and hitting the bell icon. We would love to hear your thoughts and questions in the comments below. Thank you for watching Tarkwad. Until next time, stay informed and stay decoded. Namaskar.